Oh, how I love Jesus. On Christ the solid rock I stand. All other ground is shifting sand. I'll worship the King of glorious above. Right now, it's a good time to think about truth and not about what a preacher says, because these men were all educated to preach, you see, and not my king. He never was after 13, so that might be a good thing to keep in mind when you want truth. And his carpenter shop, which he journeyman was at when he started his ministry, when he heard that call. And that's when at 30 he decided to preach. And before that, as a journeyman carpenter, well, there was a sign above his shop that said, "My yokes fit well." And he was always sold out, you see, like people lining up for it, because it made the work easy and the burden light. Kind of like those 2 greatest commandments he talked about as he fed everyone when they were hungry, like loving your neighbor as yourself and healing everyone and delivering them from demons. And he hated the church, mostly, exposing them as dens of thieves and liars, going out and making twice the sons of hell as themselves while evangelizing. Then he went into his ministry and was banned in the church, you see? Isn't that funny? And anyone who was listening to him was also banned from the churches. Kind of makes me wonder about now is what I hear some of the pastors saying. You better swear you'll stay with me. Like playing that game like they're sitting at the Last Supper going, "Is it me, Lord? Is the devil in me?" Really? So beware who you listen to and what you consider as truth, because there's a lot of Jesuses out there I never knew. Like the ones who point at this. Hello. If you don't know your king enough to make it okay with stuff like this, and that's like a ghostly thing, and maybe Halloween never ended for you. That's why you're walking like an Egyptian. But if you would just consider the basic truth, it is quite simple, you see, because, well, Jesus was homeless before he did his ministry, and he gave everything away, told everybody, hey, just follow the 2 greatest commandments. That summarizes the law and the prophets. But no, everybody's got a better idea now. They want to follow this 4 walls or that. Don't forget one of those original rabbi stories. It's actually pretty good, because I think it might be way true. You see, a long time ago, God had many children, but he didn't know which of them feared him and which of them really loved him. So he built a 4x4, which means Torah. So take it however you want. 4 cubits, 4 feet, whatever. But the whole point was there was a window in that 4x4 Torah with law inside to tell them how to make God not so feared. And so the ones with fear all went into that house, that Torah, and they tried to follow that Torah. But some of them loved God and looked outside the window and said, no, I want to be with him. So they went outside and talked to him and lived with him, like Adam and Eve did originally. And it was all good. And then, well, things went back to the same thing again. And so now it's at a point where, see, if you just think like Jesus and get away from the church and go up to the mountain and pray, then you can say you really know him and that you don't fall for all the lies in the church and all the doctrines of men that make sons of hell as they always did. And think about how the Torah, the law house, well, what it's become, because there's a lot of people there now. And it's pretty much a social club. And they talk about their fear of God. But, well, it seems like that lightning might come down on those 4x4s pretty soon. But the people outside seems like they'd all be good because they've been like with him all along because they didn't want to be in there anyway. They didn't really like the law. And that was the other thing, that when the king came, he said that I will make you free. When I make you free, you will be free indeed. And I will give you peace beyond all understanding, like a kingdom to come, where all the beaches might turn to glass after the lightning storm and all the liars get washed out to the sea that dries out. Wow! That would be a show indeed. So beware who you're following right now, because there's a lot of wolves with really furry clothing, more than my beard. But they're really good at showing their righteousness and probably point out my unrighteousness. And they never want to preach that verse, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the Pharisees. You have no part in the kingdom. And that was like John MacArthur's buddy, R.C. Sproul. He preached one time on that verse. And he said, that's like one of the scariest verses in the Bible to him. So how eternal security are some of these people, really? So do beware what you listen to and what you believe. And Michael, row your boat ashore. Alleluia. King's coming soon, so do beware. Titanics will crash bad.